thegreen.com.
Our regular host Blake is in a different time zone right now, so I will be doing this by myself, and Blake will be back shortly. So before we begin, I have a bit of a spoiler. We're going to start a new show on the Shitcoin.com podcast network with a celebrity from crypto Twitter. Not going to name his name. You can try to figure it out. He is a former professional poker player and richer than all of you combined. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil anymore. We'll write about it on Twitter. So back with me and the show today is Paul Sztorc. Paul Sztorc is a statistician, an economist, a game theorist. You have worked under a Nobel laureate until you quit academia and turned full-time Bitcoin developer. Paul speaks at pretty much every Bitcoin developer-focused conference for, I don't even know, let's call it 8 years. I don't even know.
I don't know.
Yeah, you are not a libertarian. You're not a carnivore. You're not crazy. You're quite reasonable. And you are currently the smartest person I know. And the only true Bitcoin maxi.
I know. I don't know how that circle shrank so much from how big it used to be, but there it is.
Yeah, it's impossible because it's one of, I forget what the name is, but it's one of those things where you don't get new Bitcoin maxis. You get fake ones that try to make some money, but it's a shrinking population, right?
I guess so. I mean, there was a time when it was much more reasonable, like 2015. It was very reasonable. There was nothing in Bitcoin's way. It was just like going to succeed and it was just going to take everything over.
Yep.
And now it does seem like there's something like a 3% or so chance that Bitcoin is completely replaced by something else.
Yeah. I forgot. There's a disclaimer here. So we're going to be talking about a new venture you're doing, and I am an investor in that venture. So we'll get to what that venture is later. So, we already talked about it. So Bitcoin today, January 2023. Where are we? Like, what is the good? What is the bad? What do you think?
Well, we've got a lot going on, as we always have. Bitcoin is a great idea, and it is good to have discipline and say no to people who want to screw it up, and that we're very good at that. I think we have gone completely off the deep end in terms of Drivechain or BIP300 was designed to be the exact opposite of what the mandatory block size increase that everyone was talking about back in 2015, 2017, 2018, whatever, that whole period. That was like a mandatory thing that everyone would have to do, and you'd have to coordinate this switch. But BIP300 is a soft fork. It doesn't affect anyone's full node. So it's designed to be the opposite, and it was designed not to have any negative impact, or really any observable impact at all on the people who didn't opt in.
Well,
so that was
I was gonna get to the BIPs later, so I was gonna think about what do we have today on Bitcoin. Yeah. Like
we have El Salvador. Have you heard of El Salvador?
Yes.
Have you heard of Michael Saylor? He has a great intern doing his tweets.
He isn't. I don't know. Maybe he is a feature of Bitcoin, because we have. It is good probably that we have attracted some boomer, a very greedy boomer with many bankruptcies in his past.
We want greedy people
who has weaponized the leverage the financial system and Wall Street allows you to use, completely leveraged it against itself by buying Bitcoin in a company, a public company, and using the shares in that public company to leverage up and buy more Bitcoin, which I think is great for Bitcoin.
I agree. But also
hopefully it ends with a government bailout.
That would be amazing. Oh my God.
Amazing.
Like
I
a
love
long-term
that.
capital management, like organized by the Fed. That would be That would just be beautiful.
So I think that's a feature of Bitcoin. He has understood how to leverage Bitcoin against
And
fiat.
remember, people wanted remember the Bitcoin ETF? Like, this is just a weird idea that just it keeps orbiting. Like we've gone. It's like a Schrodinger's ETF. Like we sort of have it and we don't have it, but when MicroStrategy just buys all this Bitcoin, then you just if you want to own shares of MicroStrategy,
I think it's great.
Buying Bitcoin, it's a Bitcoin ETF. So
if a boomer asks me how do I buy Bitcoin, honestly, I can just tell them buy MicroStrategy because I mean, how much overhead can they have, and it's leveraged.
Yeah, right. I agree.
So that is a feature. And what is the bad?
Well, unfortunately, I think stuff has been settling in a little too much. We have the so-called static society. Things don't change.
Don't you usually say that a static society is a dead society?
Yeah, right. It's not good. We don't want that. It's the kiss of death, honestly. So what people have an idea that is a good idea, which is we want to make the network reliable, but they forgot that like a naive reliability, so there's a big difference between like Gutenberg standardizing the alphabet on 26 letters, but you being able to print an infinite variety of books on top of that. So you need the second layer. The stability at one layer is all about the flexibility on the upper layers. So it's similarly, when people want Bitcoin to be reliable and simple, very dumb, they don't want it to do anything. What they have in mind is that when I transact with it, no matter what I want to do, if I want to like, do whatever, go shopping on the darknet market or whatever I want to do, ransomware or weird exotic thing, capital flight, then I won't, we're not going to mess that up. So the stability at one layer is all about flexibility at the upper layer. It's not about just stopping everything the way it is. And in particular, what people really think is they just think we're going to succeed no matter what. Nothing can stop Bitcoin's success. And it's when you think that actually you're doomed.
And you talked about this before, but what is the... I mean, Bitcoiners have always been very dismissive of Ethereum. I was one of them.
Of course.
I bought the Ethereum ICO because it was very exciting. It was like the first time that was done, and then was completely dismayed by the amateurness of the development process, the way they squandered the funds on lawyers and many things. But over the years, you cannot say that is Ethereum anymore because it's simply it is not the same thing anymore. And
right,
everything is improved, including the coin distribution. Most of the whales have gotten wrecked by themselves, so this has solved itself.
Exactly.
So what do you think is
Ethereum were a big problem, as you say? But as you also say, since these people were terrible people, they
lost it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
So what is the risk? I mean, on Ethereum, and you'll have people like Udi probably saying Ethereum is ultra sound money because it's the money supply is shrinking, which I'm guessing you will say is irrelevant because it's short term and not so much. But what about the amount of fees people are paying on Ethereum compared to how much fees they are paying on Bitcoin? Like, what are the numbers and what does that mean?
Well, there's a very disturbing trend because of how reliable it is. You can take all the available data and put it on a log scale. So you get this big, big view of everything, and you can see that it goes up. Of course, it doesn't go perfectly steadily, but overall, it goes up on a straight diagonal line from being 1/1000th. This is the ratio of all Ethereum, the purchasing power in US dollars. So this is all the amount of money that regular users are spending on Ethereum fees divided by the ratio of Ethereum to Bitcoin in terms of transaction fees. So this is who's paying more to use the blockchain.
And it's going up straight line on the log scale.
Up and up and up, and it passes being equal a long time ago, and is now 10 to 100 times.
Does that mean that everyone in the world is stupid, or does that mean that Ethereum is taking Bitcoin in I don't know, could you say security? Could you say, I don't know.
Well,
What
it has
is
more
it?
paying customers. Ethereum
Yes.
also sort of cheats somewhat to get this, because it's not a completely apples to apples comparison, because there are different block times and things. But mostly it is an apples to apples comparison. Like it's not perfectly, but there's no way that could happen in a world where no one cared about Ethereum. They care about it at least as much. The people actually use it. So again, this is the intrinsic value. This is the big thing that someone has to do, is someone has to like make a movie called Intrinsic Value, or like a short, like a little YouTube short, like a little animated thing, or like better. It would be really good if it had real actors, like someone, people using the Bitcoin, the Bitcoin, any blockchain for something. So like these would be like broadcasting a message. It could be like someone on the run, and they broadcast a message in the blockchain with op return through their public key. Like someone like, and that's what you'd have to do, is write this story so that like this young couple are reunited, and they otherwise, without the blockchain, they would never have been able to find each other, or something like the refugees or something like that. Weave the Ukraine thing in there, weave all the stuff in there, and it'll be that emotional stuff, so that people.
But that is
But people have an enormous anxiety about this topic of what does the blockchain actually do in the real world?
But,
There's lots of things.
I mean, I think what you said is, I'm going to use that. I think that's really good. It has more paying customers, because in anything else in this world, if you say, if you tell me that a certain product is better than another, because you're some kind of a hipster, or I wouldn't even know. But if you say, well, if you look at it, people do prefer this one over that one. It's pretty simple. If you just say like, what do people prefer? Okay, anyway. And yeah, because with Bitcoin, I don't know if this is real, but to me it's felt like a bit of an issue with the static block size, that if the fees are low, we have a problem, because that means we have no users. And if the fees are high, we have a problem, because there's problems with using it. So Ethereum has a solution to this, which is all this moon technology that may or may not be invented, but they're already offloading a lot to these layer twos. I know, because I'm an Ethereum user. So, for example, if you want to invest on decentralized, if you want to invest in a pretty in a pretty even safe basket of crypto, there's a service called GMX. I'm not ref coding this. I'm just mentioning. There's a service called GMX that maintains an index like this. So you put money in, and it's divided across like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some fiat, done on stable coins, and it just maintains this. And when you put your money in there, you get the appreciation of the underlying assets, and also you get a cut of the profit from people trading against this pool. So, but that smart contract cannot run on Ethereum because it's using too much gas. So it runs on an L2, which means the base token is also Ether, called Arbitrum, which I know very little about, but I use it every day. I know a lot of people use it. So this offloading is happening. I'm not going to claim Arbitrum has the security of Ethereum, because it clearly does not, but it's like shit is working,
Well, we don't want to live in a world where people have to justify something. So what you said was very important, which is that you use it, but you don't understand it. Everything that is good works like that, actually, believe it or not. Friedrich Hayek, when he won the Nobel Prize, he gave this speech about the use of knowledge in society, and he said we're often advised to think about what we do, but if everyone did that, we would only be able to do very, very little. We would all be our own farmers. We would be our own plumbers. We would be our own everything, and everything would suck.
Right. Yeah.
So mostly, when you buy clothes, you have no idea how they were made. Really, you have no idea where the thread came from. When you use a computer, you have no idea about the operating system. You have no idea about the silicon. You have no idea who's generating the power or why.
And that is the same. That is the same as Bitcoin. I mean, the first time I used Bitcoin, I downloaded the exe file. It's like a graphical user interface on Windows. It's got 3 tabs. Overview shows your transaction history. And there's a tab called Receive, which shows an address you can share with people so they can send you funds. And there's a tab called Send, where you paste an address and an amount, click Send, and it appears in the transaction history in the overview. And like this shit could have been PayPal, you know, when I was downloading it. I literally didn't know. It could just run on Satoshi's server in his basement. But like, I don't know, somebody said it works, and I looked into it later when I had more staked on it. So moving on.
No, but it's a very important point, because it is about what's wrong with Bitcoin today, is that there's a need to like justify everything. So for example, my BIP 300, you know, you have to field questions from it all the time, and it doesn't matter, like, you know, like in the real world, people would just use it. In a functioning thing, they would just try it and use it, and if it didn't work, then they would not.
Yeah.
They would learn about it from using it.
But I guess an issue on Bitcoin that we have today is that we are, and this will lead to the next point, which is we're not able to build on it. Like we have no way of establishing these layers like the Arbitrum or the DeFi Lego pieces.
We always thought that we would, but we don't.
And it's not that people don't want to do it. It's like they don't have a way to express that, which leads to what is, and you have to promise to keep this very short, what is Drivechain, BIP 300 and 301?
Okay. Drivechain is my plan for sending coins to a different piece of software and back. So this is my sidechain BIP. That's
so pretty much how I use Arbitrum, right?
Well, that would be the ideal thing. Is like, you know, no one could be a specialist in everything. So you have to be a layperson in something, as I just said. It's like, this is very desirable for someone. The issue is really like, it was designed from the ground up to have this property where it doesn't affect anyone who's not using it at all. But people just kind of don't. They decided they just don't believe that, and they're not. And the other thing is, it can be added with a soft fork that's optional, and it can also be later erased by a soft fork. So there's literally no downside whatsoever. But still, this is what has happened in the Bitcoin community is, you know, it's not, as you say, there's no will to actually do anything, because everyone thinks that this is my view, is that everyone, because of the scaling war, people got xenophobic and resistant to all change, and they just think that Bitcoin's success is preordained. Now that we had to just kick out Roger Ver, and then that was it. That was the test, and now we passed, and we will be rewarded in the afterlife or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the problem is, like, say this kick out Roger Ver thing, but like, and get left with who? So there's maybe there's like I guess there's like a vacuum. We don't have a Vitalik, warts and all. We have no one.
Well, yeah, Vladimir decided to step down, and he did so in a way that he did not name who would now be the owner of the Bitcoin repository on GitHub, for what that's worth.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very unclear exactly what happened with that.
So,
at least to me, if anyone knows, tweet it to me.
I mean, so Drivechain is sidechains for Bitcoin. Actually, it's so easy to explain these days, because so many people use like Optimism or Arbitrum, and they just know that it's cheaper. So people are actually using sidechain technology today on other chains. I know this, like Cosmos has something. I'm a bit unclear how it works, but so people actually use it today. But I guess the difference with Drivechain is that the creation and also destruction of the sidechain is itself decentralized.
Right.
Which is a huge difference, because Arbitrum is a company. Optimism is a company. You know, the zero knowledge chains on Ethereum, they are companies with offices in New York City and lawyers. Like, this is not some utopian libertarian dream.
And often they have like the backup key or whatever, like the dev key that can, like, whatever, just like reset everything or something.
At least halt the chain, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So what is the progress of getting this? I promise is the last sad thing. So
Okay.
what is the progress of getting Drivechain deployed on Bitcoin today?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think in the past I was more interested in, I wanted to like do the right thing and like try to explain it to people, because I thought, there's no consent without informed consent, and I want people to understand what's going on. People clearly didn't know anything about SegWit when that was activated. People knew nothing about it years afterwards. So I was like, I didn't really want that to happen. Now I kind of think like that's a big issue, because when you try to explain it to people, then you're beholden to how much effort they're willing to put in. And I have learned that an enormous percentage of people are not willing to read the BIP text or try the software or read anything, or they won't even read the titles. Many of the people don't know the titles of the BIPs or whatever. So, but mostly I think it actually has been going very well over the last 2 years. I get invited to more and more and more conferences. I get invited on more and more podcasts. People seem to be getting the idea. But as I said before, we don't want to live in a world where everyone actually understands everything. No one actually wants that. But that's kind of what I was trying for at first. Separately, though, I did, since none of the critics have ever had any idea what they were talking about, and all the proponents agreed with me about the potential. My main strategy has just been to build the useful stuff. So the Zcash sidechain, the
Build it and they will come.
Yeah, and so they have a tangible demonstration of what it's for. Build a prediction market software, build a scaling sidechain. So we built like an NFT sidechain, a bit asset sidechain, basically. And then so we have a bunch of stuff going on. And I'd like to do more. I'd like to do a Namecoin thing. We haven't really found the right person for that yet, but I would love to do that, because I think that idea is great. And we're going to copy Sidechain. We're gonna. I've always liked that project.
For Sztorc,
yeah. So the goal is to copy the projects that are actually useful, so that no one can ever have this intrinsic value anxiety again. So because this is horrible to watch. When you've been in Bitcoin for a long time, and people go on whatever Joe Rogan, or they go on whatever it is, a big television show, and they just think it doesn't do anything. And you're like, no, it does a lot of important things that only it can do. But that you have to teach something like that by example, I think.
And so that leads us to the next one, which is what is LayerTwoLabs, and why are you attacking Bitcoin?
Right. I think, as a lot of people have said over the years, including you, but including other people, friends of mine, they've said, Paul, you have to start a company, blah, blah, blah. You're so great, etc. People say all these nice things. Are they true? No one knows. But the company is an attempt to actually kind of get something serious, because for a while I enjoyed the criticism of Drivechain, because I come from like academia, where like criticism is like really serious, and you just dwell in the seriousness, and you just, nothing affects the real world, so you can just be like and you can just be like, this idea.
You can sit around with all your other academia friends and jerk each other off.
Yeah,
and write papers.
That's like criticizing each other is like the jerking off. It's like an S&M thing. You're like, I'll write this footnote, such and such believes.
Oh God, yeah.
And I was kind of just like, I don't know, like, okay, let's just like get this for real. So it's a lot about building a team. It's a lot about building a lot of people with skin in the game, people who would benefit as a result.
What are you what is LayerTwoLabs making? What is its first product?
We're making this demo software. So we're making the sidechains. We're making we're making improvements to the Bitcoin node software, many of which you can see right now already if you go and download the software, the Drivechain.info software.
Yeah, I'll show the banner here still on the bottom of the screen. You can download.
We're making these side chains. We're making the Zcash clone. We're making the Ethereum clones. We're making all these side chains that's what we're going for. And we want to demonstrate the potential of all this technology by actually building it. So that's the best way to teach people.
So I don't think we need to talk so much about like how sidechains are created and destroyed and where the fees go and all this stuff, because that's already been done a lot. But perhaps you can talk about the different sidechains you guys will be making at LayerTwoLabs, and so what they are and what the functions are, and maybe for the copy ones, what will happen to the original. And so, like, will we have smart contracts? Will we have prediction markets? Just give it up.
Yes. Okay. So we're going to copy, first of all, like Zcash and Ethereum, because Zcash has extremely useful privacy technology. And also the Zcash protocol has kind of weird, it has like attacks and stuff. So we're just going to delete that and copy the what makes it great, which is this, all that research, that R&D into the ZK privacy technology. So because we want that. And we want Ethereum just because it's the #1 competitor to Bitcoin. So we want to just show that no one is safe, basically. And we're going to have large blocks are bad on layer 1, but on layer 2, they are perfectly harmless and a very good thing. So that's very easy to do. We're going to do that. We're going to have lots of optimizations so that it's a very sane and simple idea for payments. We're going to do the prediction markets, my prediction markets project that was originally TruthCoin, is now at bitcoinhivemind.com. The purpose of the prediction markets project is very important because it has this peer-to-peer oracle that tries to figure out what is happening in the real world. And that means you can wager on that as long as you know about that. So that means that this entire world of derivatives is open to you, including these very important conditional markets, such as should we keep this CEO or not, or should we keep this president or not? And you can just, not only can you use them to easily figure out what an organization should do, like what you should vote for or whatever, but you can also, if you know that someone is going to be a good president, but they'll never get elected, or if you know that someone is going to be a bad president and they will get elected, you can use these markets to just make money off of everyone else who doesn't believe you. So you know,
and
yes,
we've actually done an episode. We've done an episode before on this, so we're going to link to that episode. I know which one you're talking about, conditional markets. If you give me more than 2 drinks, I will force you to watch the whole presentation you gave on conditional markets on YouTube. I've shown it to so many people. They've been very reluctant. They want to listen to dance videos on YouTube, but I forced them anyway. So there's a privacy chain. So it's basically, if you want to make the perfect Zcash, all you have to do is remove the token because the economics are awful and people hate it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's one thing that sidechains won't copy. It's the thing that people don't like. So
the token
technology is great, though. The fact that the privacy accumulates, it scales. Like that, you're in the pool. The more users you have, the more people you're mixing with. So it's very desirable that way.
And so there's the privacy chain, and there is the Sztorc chain you mentioned, which is inspired by Sia.
Yes, we want that.
And there is the
Ethereum
chain.
Ethereum, large blocks.
Which means, so Ethereum, you connect your MetaMask like you're connecting to some other EVM network, but it's on Bitcoin.
Right. You can get this is like an Ethereum clone, but there's no Ether there. It's 0. And you can send BTC from layer 1 into it, and you get credited with stuff, Gwei or whatever over there.
Yeah.
And and that's where it comes from. And then you can send it back. You when you're done using it in Ethereum world, you send it back. This is the whole point of sidechains.
Okay, so
people RSK, they've said, they plan as soon as physically possible, they want to turn their project from the federated model that it is into BIP300 sidechain, but it's just not possible yet.
So I can basically clone all my favorite smart contracts onto this EVM sidechain.
Yes, in fact, we made it by cloning the latest version of Ethereum and then just adding a couple changes into that. So now when we make the clones, we have ones that we make from scratch, and then we have ones that we clone. Now when we clone, we start with the altcoin node and we change it from there back, and we have like a little module. So we just change it to we make it like we turn it from altcoin to a sidechain, and then it's mostly their technology that it's almost all their work that
so you have a fork of Go Ethereum.
Yes.
Oh, but that's how all of these other EVM chains work. They're just like even Binance Smart Chain.
Yeah.
They're all forks. I think
Yeah,
even Tron. I think Tron is an early fork.
Yeah, I think that's very. I mean, this is the idea of horizontal scaling, which brings us to the large block sidechain idea, which is very different. Having one layer one block that fills the whole world is very different from having one small block main chain and having a team of different large block optional layer two sidechains. And you could mostly stay on your fraction. You're the one that you actually use, ignore the rest, and then you're mostly immune to any kind of problems that happen on there. You can recover and go back to the small block main chain at any time.
And have you thought of the possibility of ending up like Avalanche, where Avalanche has its own chain? I believe it's called the X chain, which might be the governance chain, and there's like a staking chain. But when people use and think about Avalanche, they think of what is called the Avalanche C chain, which is an EVM fork, which is the only one that people use. Have you thought that this could actually happen?
Well, I think, it should be up to the users. Whatever the user likes, whatever the customer likes, that's the thing, at the end of the day. I mean, obviously, there are people out there like who it's their job to be like an executive, like a Steve Jobs or something. You know what I mean? Like their job is like Ford said about, if I asked the customer, they say they wanted a faster horse or something. So people out there have to decide what they think the customer is going to like. But at the end of the day, the customer gets the last word. And if they like something, then that's what's going to be used. But I have a lot of ideas about what people will like. I mean, Namecoin is another perfect example of something where I just think the potential is enormous, and the way we currently use the internet is so annoying compared to what it would be like if we had just had Namecoin out in the world. It would be like impossible to deplatform people. You would have the same screen name on every single website. You would never have any passwords again. You would just have a username. And it's something else, some app or something that would give you the 6-digit PIN to log in, and that would be gated by the 12-word seed or something. And so we have there's an enormous amount of improvements to everyday life that are possible just from the Namecoin sidechain idea. That just is like not. We just never got around to no one never got around to finishing. So.
And I think the most interesting one is Hivemind, the prediction market sidechain. I have a huge bias in that I love prediction markets because they can do anything. You can bet on sports, you can bet on commodities, you can bet on elections, you can do like old school crop insurance. You can figure out how much your house is worth, maybe. Like, I don't even know.
You can. I don't know the liquidity.
Not your house, but the area, the city you live in. You can figure out what the property prices are like that.
The key is betting on the future and then comparing two different futures. You say, if this was the mayor, what would be the value of all the land in whatever Chicago, and versus if this person was the mayor. Yeah, it's like
if I put on this shirt and I go out, what is the probability that I'll find a date?
That's theoretically possible. Sure, it does. Yeah. Prediction markets can't aggregate any knowledge that doesn't exist. So if you bet on what's this coin flip going to be, while the coin is still in the air, it can't do anything magically. But in theory, all of that is possible with the right management of liquidity, which I think is another thing that unfortunately is very misunderstood, and that Robin has explained what to do a long time ago, but people just don't listen, and it has to be shown by example, I think, again.
Yeah. So to finish this off, everybody needs to download and test your software. That's what you want. It's on the bottom. And like I said in the
try to
intro,
make that easier and easier over time. Where eventually there will be there will only be one launcher application, and eventually maybe hopefully you'll even be able to just run the software from far away, like through a web browser or something. We're going to try to make it as easy as humanly possible for people to run. But right now it's not that easy. So but that is the best way to really figure out what we are up to.
And as I mentioned, we have a new show coming up with a new host, an anonymous Bitcoin, crypto celebrity. And Paul, where are you speaking this year? Where can people find you in Meet Space?
I was invited to a lot of stuff. I think I'm going to be at the big Miami conference.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be at MIT Bitcoin Expo. I'm going to be some other places. I think there's that Texas one that is like a layer 2 one. I'm going to be at that one, I think. I'm going to be all around.
Okay. And everybody, you should follow Paul on social media. We're going to have links to that in the show notes. And of course, follow Shitcoin.com on Twitter and subscribe to the weekly newsletter, which is all memes and no alpha. And thank you for coming on the show, Paul.
Thanks for having me. And I love the newsletter. It's the best. It's the best newsletter, I think, out of every newsletter I've ever even heard of. So
thank you.
Yeah.